on our Instagram Live today. Welcome. This is our first ever How I Built That Instagram Story series that we're partnering, Read Me, as well as myself, Banu Athuraliya from the Sustainable Education Foundation. We're partnering with IIT Sri Lanka. They're celebrating 30 years of academic excellence, and we are going to be featuring some amazing IIT alumni, the likes of Banu, who's joined us today, to share with us their career journeys and what life at IIT has been like. So it can really inspire some undergraduates and high school students to really explore what opportunities are out there, learn from some of the best, because being part of the Sustainable Education Foundation, we believe that a lot of the learning not only just comes from the academic side of things, but what you can learn from others as well along the way, right? So very excited about this series. I'm sure a lot of you know Banu already, but the fabulous Banu Athuraliya, if you don't know, is one of the leading Sri Lankan English tech gurus in Sri Lanka on YouTube. I'm sure you would have seen a lot of his programs. And he's also the founder and CEO of the Andro network. Not only is he accomplished in that sense, because this is one of the questions I really want to ask him is, how much time do you have on your hands? He's also a visiting lecturer at IIT and also a research assistant at the Robert Gordon University, UK. Have I covered everything for you?
I think that's like half of the story, because I still have some more other stuff that I do. Like I write for the paper and few more other things. I consult companies and a few other things going on. So actually, rather than just focusing on one job with 9 to 5 job, that's what a lot of people are focused on, just doing like 9 to 5 safe. That's like the safe route, right? You're established, you just do one job and like you're happy at the end of the day. But for me personally, I decided, no, that's not for me. That's not going to keep me happy. I want to utilize, we all have a very limited amount of time here on Earth with the life that we got. So I want to do the maximum that I can in that short possible time period that we have, and try to achieve bigger things in life and experiment with different things and see. So for that journey, I think IIT has especially, from university days, really helped me out, and has been like that. They have motivated and helped me achieve great things. So yeah, let's discuss about that today.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm really keen to know about it, in that you have so many time is also a very limited resource, but you seem to be using that really well. Is that something you learned through your experience at IIT, or is that something doing multiple assignments and following your passion projects? How do you manage all that in one hit, really?
Yeah, so it all started, I think the main thing you need to have is the passion for anything, right? Now, whether it's education, or whether you're doing a job, or whether you're doing your own business, or whether you're making videos, whatever it is, you have to be passionate for it. So how it all started initially for me, especially now, nowadays people know me as the guy making videos on YouTube when they go to my channel, and then they go and see all the other stuff that I do, and they start thinking, okay, what actually does this guy do? Because he's onto so many other things, and then they see they might be thinking, how do you really manage time and all of that. So it all, now this is not something that I in 1 or 2 days or 1 or 2 months. This is something that has been evolving constantly, little by little. So so I'll just go back to the start of it and just start explaining the whole the story that most people might be interested in. So my passion for business and making videos has been there before I even joined IIT. So I've been doing this for a very long time. In fact, I've been if you actually go back and see, I was one of the first tech YouTubers in the country, and to make videos on YouTube for a living. That was unheard of the time that I actually started making videos. People thought I was when I was using my phone to shoot vlogs and shoot all sorts of videos outdoors, especially with the camera in my hand like this, and like mic and all of that entire setup, and talking to the camera. And people are like, okay, what is this guy doing? What's wrong with him? Because he's just walking on the road, just talking to himself. So like slowly that process grew, and now I think the term YouTuber, like that's like well established now. A lot of people know, and like now it's all about, like, for a lot of people it's all about the money, like but back in the day, you did it for a passion, and slowly that's why I think still the original YouTubers that we have, like I personally know a lot of guys in the community, but I know the original guys, like they are still not going after the money. They do it for their passion. They do it for they do it to put something out, something useful out. So so anyway, now going back to the journey at IIT. So like you rightly said, now in my time at IIT, I was not only involved with my studies, but also in a lot of extracurricular activities. Now with my, like I said, I had my business going on with my channel and blog and all of that on the side going on, but I never confused the two. Like that is what I do in my free time, but education is very important, so I gave priority to that. So I usually don't really miss out any lectures or anything. I go for everything, but at the same time, somehow manage to do all of my other stuff, at the end of the lecture, like after lectures in that time. So at IIT, especially now, talking about the extracurricular activities and stuff. So nowadays, a lot of guys now, especially since I do visiting lectures at IIT, something that I notice in the newer batches is like, these guys, like a lot of guys are just focused on one thing. They just want to, like, let's say they want to do their education, they're just focused on the education only. Like if they want to work on a project, like some people are just working on the project because it gives you marks, right? Back in the day, we didn't like, of course we did it for marks as well, but that wasn't it. Like that wasn't the only thing, because going back to the time that I was at IIT, like in the second year we have a project called Software Development Group Project. So now that's the module that I'm the module leader right now at IIT for second year students. So it's funny like how the journey has evolved from student to lecturer to now module leader of that particular module. And like that particular module, I can still remember when I did it. I was doing I was in my second year in 2016. So when I did that particular module, the goal for me wasn't to just do a project that would just give me good marks, but something that would enhance someone else's life. So basically, with the project that I built, like on top of this, the basic requirements that would give me the marks, me and my team, we were able to pull off something really great that we could actually put into different competitions, like on top of getting good marks at IIT. Not only Sri Lankan ones, like we were finalists at NVQSA, as well as we got to take part in international competition as well, and fly to India for to compete with other South Asian countries for that particular project that we worked on, and we became first runners up in that. So like at that time, just being a second year student, I mean, even when I went for that session, right, like when I went for that competition, it was like me and my teammates, like we were just like, we felt so young. Like everyone else there, they were like so mature, and like people from different companies, and like they are so high tech, and like we are thinking, okay, we are just a bunch of students, but see, we have still done our part. So I think that's all in the way that you think, right? So now, when you come out of that mentality where you think, where you stop believing that you just do it for marks or something, but no, instead I'm going to do the best that I possibly can do. And because you're targeting a particular project to a particular target audience, so I'm going to make this project the best that it can be for that particular target audience, so that they can actually make use of it. And then if my product is good, I'm going to put it for different competitions and see what challenges will be there for me. Like getting selected for international competition, especially, it's not really easy, especially when competing with other countries. right? So
International.
like from Sri Lanka, I think at that time there were only 3 or 4 teams representing Sri Lanka for that particular competition. So and now talking about competitions, I have to definitely mention, you know, the support from IIT for that, like, you know, the motivation and like from the lecturers and the staff at IIT, how they motivate us to, you know, continuously do better, and like the sponsorships that they give to, you know, further motivate us. And
Yeah,
those kind of things are little things that add up to the experience. And you know, it's not just you know, about doing your degree or just getting good marks. Like I said, it's all about doing the best that you can do, and like, you know, put out something that you can be proud of at the end of the day. Like even now, even though I did my project some time ago, now if I just look back in the past, and I can still be happy with what I did, right? So
yeah,
yeah, only
exactly.
regret that I have is that I don't have the patent for it. At that time there were some issues getting that patent, so that's the only reason I couldn't get it. But if not, it in fact the same project that we worked on, even Google worked on a similar project to what we did after like 2 years after we did it. So like, you know, it was really nice to see that, you know, that idea was something innovative.
That's amazing. Yeah. And what's interesting just listening to you so far, Banu, is that you mentioned the word passion a lot, right? And something I always notice is students are, you know, when you're young and you're inexperienced, you still don't know what your passion is. And there's always this question of, do you have to work really, really hard practicing at what you do to find your passion, or does it naturally come to you? What has been your experience, and what's your advice to, I guess, undergraduates or high school students listening in now?
Yeah. So I personally don't believe in, like, you know, it naturally coming to anyone. You have to really try and, like, you know, experiment and see, right? Like even like you know, something like coding, that's not for everyone, right? You know, you have to. But that being said, like, you know, someone will come and tell you coding is hard, software engineering is hard. But just because someone tells you that it's hard, if you don't try it, how would you actually know whether it's hard or not? Because some people are really good at it from the start, they are really good at it. But some other people, they might not be, you know, so good at it. But still, if they put in that practice, if they go through the tutorials, and if they, you know, do, like, you know, some extra work with practice, anyone can be a proper coder or a proper software engineer. You just need proper practice. So for that, you just have to work hard, right? So that is the key that a lot of students don't understand nowadays. They don't understand that you have to go through you know, that's, you know, you have to you know, struggle and suffer sometimes to, you know, get greater things in life. There's no shortcut, you know. Like for an example, just to be a software engineer, if you want to be a quality software engineer, there's no shortcut to be a quality like a software engineer. You can't just be a software engineer in a day or two. Like I said, you have to keep doing it for a constant period of time. You have to keep practicing. You have to try various things, and then if all the things align, then one day you can achieve that dream.
Yeah, excellent, Banu. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a technical issue here where I think I just got a call and like the volume has totally gone off, but I will continue as much as I can in terms of like hearing out volume here. So you mentioned competitions, right? And this is somewhere, you know, people get a lot of exposure from, you know, being under a lot of time pressure, facing against people who are probably a lot more experienced than you, right? So how do you manage situations like that? I know there's a lot of time people say, you know, you got to kind of fake it till you make it, right? Did you have to face a situation like that? How do you learn really quickly? Can you share some of your experiences that way? How you managed it?
Yeah. So basically my approach was just to, you know, not take things like so seriously and just focus on whatever I'm doing at that particular moment. So like I said, like for an example, now if I go back in time, initially when I joined IIT, I had like all of this just building up. It was like, you know, slowly building up, not too much hype, but I was slowly doing that on the side. Education going on one side and extracurricular stuff going on the other side. So like, you know, I think the key to my success is I took one thing at a time and I slowly built up on that. Like for an example, I initially had a blog which is still going on. That's andro.com. That's the main that's like a tech news website. So from at that time I used to cover like the latest events on time. Like I even had like live blogs, like whatever happens on a keynote event. Some people don't get to watch these things. So like, I used to type every single thing that happens every single second. I coded onto the site a live blogging, section. So there, everything that I type instantly gets updated on the site. So for people to see, so even Google I/O and stuff like that, I used to cover at Google I/O Sri Lanka, like, even at that kind of setup, like, even though I wasn't that big or established, I wanted to try it. I wanted to see what I could possibly do to, establish my dream and, somehow get to that place where I want to go, right? So on top of the blog, like even when it came to making videos, right, I wasn't a pro at it. I have never gone for a video editing class, or I have like, never gone for photo shooting or like, video shooting. I have no idea about it. I just bought a camera and started shooting with it, and then learned along the way. I mean, there are enough and more resources online. So you just go and type how to do whatever you want, and you will find enough and more resources on whatever it is that you want to learn, right? So along in my journey, while I was training to be a software engineer, I also mastered the skills of video editing, graphic design. So basically now I also have a software services company, like some kind of a digital agency, if you may. So like I work with different clients on different kinds of projects. Like I don't, like, a lot of people's attitude is, okay, I'm just developing websites. I'm really good at making websites. I'm just going to develop websites. But my attitude was different. I was like, okay, when people come and ask me, okay, what kind of services do you provide? I'm like, what kind of services do you want, right? Like, I can do anything that you can possibly do with a computer. What do you want me to do? So then they will tell me, okay, I want you to do, can you make a poster, or can you edit this video, or can you do digital marketing, or can you keep my Facebook up and running, or like, if not, can you build me a website, or anything like that, or sometimes now, since I'm focusing mainly on AI side, artificial intelligence. So like some people even come and ask about, can you do this kind of machine learning, project, like some kind of complex scenarios. So at that time, what I do is I have a call with the client, and then we discuss about the project. And then based on what the client's requirements are, I think and see if I can possibly do it or not. Like now, after so much of experience, I know I can, but sometimes back in the day when I was initially starting off, sometimes even I was doubtful whether I could do it or not. But I think what I did right was that I didn't try, I didn't really see it that way. I didn't really say no to anything, like whatever comes my way, I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I can do that. But at the same time, I knew that it was a considerable amount of risk. But just because I say yes to something, it has to be delivered right? That's my life principle. Like, no matter what I do, I want to do it right. Especially, you can ask from my clients how well, like, I want to maintain that level of satisfaction with the clients. That's why I want all of those clients to be constantly coming back to me. So like, I want those clients to be happy with what I provide them. So because of that, it's a very big risk that I take by saying yes to something that I might not know. But at that time, even though it was like that, now with me slowly growing my company and having different people for different tasks, so now it has slowly got better. But initially, I'm happy about that, that step that I took to initially try different things. And at the same time, like, if I was thankfully, I have to, like, frankly say, I was not able to, like, I was able to do all the projects that I took, like, thankfully. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's a very interesting predicament you bring up, on, in that when you're so young and you're dealing with very experienced clients, right? Is it, and I'm keen to understand, right? Are you better off being very honest about where you're coming from and saying, you know what, this is the first time I'm doing it, give me a go, and be honest? Or do you say, yes, I've done some school projects or something, so I have some experience? How would you approach it if you're very new to what you are doing? What's the best policy?
Yeah. Yeah, I think something I forgot to mention is that some of those initial projects that I did, like those were done completely free, right? Not for money at all.
Mm.
So
Okay.
even if
Yep.
I screwed up, it was like, completely free. So it
Yep.
was just a matter of the client saying, okay, no, he can just say no and move past, right? So those were projects like that. But I would say now for someone who's trying to start up, for someone who wants to start their own thing, it's very difficult. I'll tell you the secret, right?
Yes.
Now, people will tell you you can start your own business. People will tell you you can start your own business and be successful, but people don't tell you to get business that you need a proper portfolio, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And to get a proper portfolio, you need clients, right? So you need both things at the same time, which is something you
Yeah.
cannot get. But if you look at it from a different approach, that is if you consider the money, right? So as an undergraduate, like initially for you to establish your own brand, you might not, first few projects, of course, you have to give it a shot and see, right? So you can do one or two things to build that portfolio. That is how you build your portfolio. So
Yep.
those clients will gladly come to you because you do it for free, right? But just because you do two or three things for free, once you have that portfolio, that doesn't mean that you have to continuously keep doing it for free, because at the end of the day, you're not a charity. You're a business. If you're a business, you have to be able to be profitable, and you have to, you have to understand your value. That is something I've learned, like especially after graduating, that I have to know my value. Like I have a limited amount of time with me doing all of these things. So I have very, like, I have made up my pricing. I have a what do you call, price chart for almost anything that I do. So if a client comes to me, I will explain to them. We are of course going to have a meeting. So at that point, I will explain, okay, these are the things that you get from me. And then if the client is satisfied with that, I will send him a detailed proposal with, the pricing and all of that. But most of the time, I personally don't negotiate much, because that is that value that I give him. It's not like, the PETA market prices, right? These are prices for my time. This is how much I am valuable. So if a client wants to work with me, this is the price. If a client doesn't want to work with me, no problem at all. So that I can still work on something else. That is why I have built my brand in such a way that, even if someone doesn't want to work with me, I still have hundreds of other people to, jump to, and different kinds of projects. Like even if I don't have, let's say, thankfully with the COVID situation for the IT sector, it hasn't, really been that difficult. It has just only grew. Like, even clients from back in the day, I can recall, especially in April and May, like when we first had that initial lockdown time period, that's the time the clients really understood the value of going digital. Like people who got websites made by me, or like people who got, the people who are interested in digital marketing, who didn't really understand the value of it, came back. And they were like, okay, you got this, right? So like we got loaded at one point with so much of projects. I had to focus only on my clients for a couple of months to get all of that sorted. So time management, when talking about that, time management is also something very important that a lot of undergraduates should understand when they are working on all these projects, or whether it's their business, or no matter what they do. That is very important.
Absolutely, fantastic advice there, Banu. And if anyone who is joining us right now has any questions to ask Banu, any burning questions, anything you've seen in terms of content or life at IIT, feel free to put it in the comment section. I think we can only have one guest as part of this session, so I can't seem to add people along the way, and I don't think we've gotten any requests. But hi, Ramita, and hi, Janet, hi, everyone else on the call. So like I said, any questions, ask away. So interestingly enough, Banu, so you had your IIT curriculum that you're working on, right? So now you have a very interesting perspective being a lecturer coming in from the academic side, right? What's one advice that you could give your students, especially coming into IIT, considering some of the course options available to them? What's some of the advice you'd give them before they consider a course review or even a career in IT?
Yeah. So something that I always tell my students, almost every week, I tell them, you, no matter what you do, like especially with the projects that they're working on, please work on it with passion, right? No matter what project that you select, selected because you're passionate for it, right? You like, especially if you're working with a group, you all have to be on the same page. It's not like, you know, individual work, right? It's all like, that's the importance of teamwork. Now, especially now, forgetting IIT, if you just move on to the industry, right? Let's say you don't do your own business, but let's say you are working for a particular company. So even when you're working for a company, that means you get to work with different people in different teams, right? So like, you know, you have to be able to, you basically have to build up those people skills, right? Especially at IIT, they have such a good extracurricular activity list that you can pick from, you know, Toastmasters. If you, let's say, you can't talk to a like a large crowd. If you have a problem talking to a large crowd, you can go and join the Toastmasters club, right? In fact, I can still remember, like, I was one of the first members in the IIT Toastmasters club. I can still remember that initial meeting that we had to form this Toastmasters club at IIT. And on top of that, like the IEEE student chapter that we have, for, like, if you're interested in, you know, like participating in conferences and doing all sorts of other stuff, so you can do that. So then on top of that, like, to build up your personality as well as your soft skills, like, you can focus on things like if you, like, the second year, you can be a part of the students union, where you get to, you know, work on all sorts of things, all sorts of projects, and, you know, from organizing like, you know, massive events, like in my time at IIT, I was the students union president for my year. So because of that, I know the capability, like the amount of things that you can actually do and the support that you get from IIT to do these things, right? So, like, you know, something that I don't see nowadays, like from you know, newer batches, is that most of these students, like, sometimes maybe I feel like sometimes they take it for granted. So my advice for all of them is to, you know, like, make the maximum out of these things, right? Try your best to take part in all of these with the time that you have, and slowly you can achieve greatness.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you, Banu, because I think I really get where you're coming from, in that even with my undergraduate studies, even though I've been long time ago, a lot of the extracurricular activities that build your personality, your ability to network, your ability to ask help, is really, I think, what gets us to where we are in our respective careers, right? So we are getting some questions from the audience coming through. I hope I'm going to do this right. Can you see Vihanga's question there? It says,
yes, I can see that.
Time, yeah, like what's the procedure? Do you follow any schedules, any tools that you can recommend to anybody?
Yeah, so basically the number one tip is please use Google Calendar or some whatever calendar tool that is available for you to, like, you know, put these things down. Especially like when you run your own business, you need to make sure that you never miss a meeting, right? Like, especially for a person like me doing all sorts of stuff, I can never afford to miss a meeting, or, like, you know, cancel out on a meeting because of another thing. So I always make sure to check my calendar every day and double check with clients, like, you know, especially for meetings that I personally have to go to. So I just double check all the time whether the meeting is there or not, and then only I go, because I hate wasting my time just traveling up and down. So because of that, I just double check all of that. And on top of that, you know, sometimes I also come up with a plan. At the end of the day, I just analyze and see whether all the tasks have been fulfilled. If not at the end of the day, sometimes, you know, we are all too busy to do that daily. So at least once a week, I just analyze it and see whether I have achieved all the things that I wanted in that particular week. If not, I just put it forward to the next week. So basically, even for my videos and stuff, I have like a proper document made with, like, you know, this what do you call the flow, like whatever videos that I have planned for the future. So I have like, you know, a bunch of stuff planned for the future, but whenever I want it, I can just quickly take it up and ready to go, like, you know. And I also work sometimes, try my best to work ahead sometimes. Like, for an example, especially with the YouTube channel, right? It's something that I can work ahead. Like, I can ask my audience what they want to see. and based on what they suggest, based on what they say they want to see, I can, you know, shoot some of those videos in my free time and, like, you know, edit it, upload it, schedule it, and keep as private videos. And whenever I don't have time to put new videos, like, I can always put out one of those videos that's always ready. That's how, like, during the COVID times, I was able to, like, you know, constantly put videos almost every day. Like, I think initially from the start of the year until the first lockdown happened, every single day I was uploading at least one video a day, at least one video on my channel, right? And those are also, like, that's on top of everything that I do, right? So, like, I'm not, you know, it's not easy. Definitely it's not, you know, it's easier said than done. But if you figure out that flow, now I after working on these things over the past couple of months and past couple of years, now I know what it's like to work. So you have to build your own workflow, right? This workflow works for me. I know what works for me, but I want you guys to sit and think, what is the workflow that's going to work for me? But there's no point of just thinking or getting someone's advice and, like, you know, you take it from this year, you put it out from this year, and that's about it. But what you should do is you take it in from this year, you process it in your head, you actually put it like, you know, you execute it, and then you can possibly see some results. Sure, it might not be, like, you know, perfect results, and it might not be mind-blowing initially, but, you know, take little steps, right? Little steps. Sometimes when you combine 10 little steps, it makes a huge step, right? So you have to understand that is the way the world is evolving now. Let's say, for an example, for someone who wants to start their own business, right? With COVID, how many opportunities are there? Like, when you think about the future, like, there are so many ideas. Like, I in fact have so many ideas. I just don't have the time to execute. So I don't want to just get started with more stuff. Yeah, if there are any passion, because at the end of the day, it's not about getting someone else's idea and just doing it. If you're doing it for the money, right, you have to do it for the right reason. If you do it, you have to do it to help, like, you know, even though the end goal is to make money is going to come if you are successful at it, right? So you build your business in such a way that you help someone out, and you will never run out of business. You will continuously grow, and you will, no matter what you do, you will get some kind of opportunity. And, like, when you build out your network, right, like, the opportunities that come, like, for an example, working on a client project, like, that's why I find it so important to satisfy these clients. I want my clients to say, okay, you did such a superb job. At the end of the day, when someone else asks, okay, who did this, and then when he recommends me, I know that that person will continuously keep doing that same thing, and the new client will do the same thing, and the other clients that come through that will also do the same thing, and slowly your client base will grow, right? So at the same time, you have to understand your limit. Now some people might misunderstand by looking at a person like me doing all sorts of these things. How is this guy managing all of this? Is this guy just taking different projects and, like, you know, not delivering them or stuff like that? But no, I know what my limit is. I have a proper schedule with all the things that I can possibly do. I know my limit, so I only accept things up to that. And when my limit is reached, I tell my clients, I'm very sorry, our queue is very like really full right now. So once we have more openings, I'll get back to you. And that is how I, you know, gradually take out projects. So I think that is something even the new guys should understand.
Absolutely. And you bring to an interesting point, Ronnie, that there are a few other questions I think we'll take along the way as well. In the ethics behind some of the work that you do, because I think when you're brand new and you have like these amazing companies coming to you, so we at CEF were faced with such a dilemma as well, to partner with an organization where our values really didn't align, but it was an amazing monetary benefit, like great outreach to millions, an audience of 1 million, right? Plus. But we said no, because you know why? Your work ethic and our work ethic don't align. But when you're so new and you're so young and you're so passionate, how do you work that out between what your values and ethics are and you want to grow a business? Like, how do you make that work?
Yeah, so I think the best way to answer that is like by talking about my YouTube channel, right? So basically, let me tell you what I do. So I'm a tech reviewer, right? So I'm one of the only few English tech reviewers in the country. In fact, even after all this time, so you know, I get to work with all. I mean, I work with almost all the tech brands here in Sri Lanka, like all the leading ones, like whoever makes phones, computers, and all sorts of stuff, right? So, like most of these companies, you know, initially when I was working on working on different projects with some of these companies, like you know, YouTube wasn't like again established. But slowly after, like you know, they trusted me and gave me devices to, you know, work on different projects, and we had different campaigns to work on different projects. And at that point they really understood how much value me as a YouTuber brings when compared to like a, you know, when you take the traditional media, or like if you take newspapers and all of that combined, sometimes don't do the same magic that, like you know, that a YouTuber might be able to pull off with a particular product and build that particular hype, right? So now when you talk, when going back to the original point of ethics, right? Now I've had so many companies just reach out and ask, like, are you ready to work on this particular project, but we want you to say, we want you to be biased on it. And at that point we don't even have any more conversation. That's the point, that's my exit point, right? So all of the things that I do on my channel are like 100% based on my opinion, and it's based on my experience, right? Nothing else, just my experience. That's what I tell them. I need to use your product if you want me to share my experience. I can't talk about something that I've never used. I can't lie to people. That is because a lot of people, all the people that follow me, especially I don't just have a following in Sri Lanka, I have a worldwide following in my channel, right? People coming in not only from Sri Lanka, from US, UK, Australia. In fact, Sri Lanka is like in 6th place when you take viewership. So because of that, I take my job really seriously, because people come to me and whatever I say, they take it very seriously. And if I give them a bad recommendation, that might like ruin, like, some, I know, like when it comes to phones and stuff, there's so much hype around it. Some people just go and buy it no matter what price it is. But for someone else, it might not be the same thing. He might be like, you know, collecting money for like a year or two just to buy a piece of tech. And if I give him a bad advice, I'm just destroying his happiness, right? So what I do is, in fact, at the end of the review, I just say, in my experience, this is what I think, right? This is the price of it. So you decide based on what I have said. You can prioritize your requirements and see what works for you. If I say the camera is good, you can focus on it. If the camera is bad and if you want a good camera, then forget this phone and go to something else, right? So that's the type of mentality you have to build, and you have to be able to take that stance. You have to like, you know, have a spine when especially working with big companies. You have to be able to, because you're bringing that value. You know the value that you're able to bring. But if everyone keeps accepting these different things and like forget your ethics and you just do stuff, like, I don't know, like then the whole world is going to chaos. So that's why me personally, I have my own set of ethics. Even initially at a particular meeting, I always disclose, this is how it works with me. If you guys like to proceed, we can. If you guys feel like this is not right, we can still you know, go our own ways and still be fine with it. That's no issue. Regardless, I think over the years, after like the brand that I've built and with the, you know, like things that I was able to achieve, regardless of whether a company gives me a particular product or not, if my audience wants it, I will go and buy it and still do that video, right? That is the level of commitment that I have to my audience. So like I always try to give what the audience wants, right? So like that's why different types of requirements come in. So you just have to see and learn and adapt. There's no plan that is going to work 100%. Now whatever I do now will work in 2020, but 2021 new things will come. I have to adjust. I can never be the same person. I have to evolve. That is what people have to understand. Even as a software engineer, even as a video editor, even as a like, I don't know, whatever, no matter what you do, you can insert what you do there. but you still have to evolve. If not, if you're not doing anything, even if you're just at home, just watching, movies and TV shows, you still have to evolve as a person to understand the value of life, right?
Absolutely. No, that's some fantastic sharing there, Vani. In that, I think honesty and integrity and ethics is something I feel like not a lot of people talk about these days. But I think as students, undergraduates, and going through this whole COVID world, I think it's very important that students find that honesty and integrity in themselves. And to your point, be able to stand up for what is right, not just for you, but for everyone else around you as well, which is fantastic. So
Yeah.
Sukun's asked a question. I feel like you might know him already because there's a lot of laughing emojis on there. But he said, "How did you first create your blog using WordPress? Please tell something about that, bro."
Okay. So basically, now it's like this. The andro.com website that I have now, that's not my first blog. Like I've had like so many other sites and channels before that, because that was like the experimental time. I didn't have the reason that I started this whole $100 thing, and I can just show you guys. I have it. This is how dedicated I am to $100. It's tattooed on my arm, right?
Oh my God.
So
That's
that's the level of dedication that I have, right? So the reason why I created $100 is so that I have my own brand, my own identity. Now, when I go to some place, some people don't know me as Banu. People know me as Andro, $100. That is how people know me, right? So like, I'm okay with that. So anyway, to come back to that original question of building the site now, there are many ways that you can build a site, right? Like in 2020, you can use WordPress. Yes, I think going with WordPress for a blog is a really good idea, even in 2020. But there are so many other ways that you can follow to, get your own site done. So like, what I would advise is, rather than thinking, why not try it, right? Like, I mean, even something like WordPress, it's something you can do locally. You don't even need a domain. You can build your own site and then see what works, right? You can try it out, and if it works out, then you go and buy a domain, then you buy the hosting, and then you can try that out. So yeah, I think WordPress is a good point for someone to start off if they want to build a blog. Yeah.
fantastic. So Sukun, I hope that answered your question. Let us know if it has. We got a few more questions that have come through, I think more on the time management piece again. So H_A_Shah, which I think stands for Hashan, asks the question, did you have to sacrifice a social life to concentrate on your studies and business?
Definitely not. TGIF always happened, still happens. In fact, right after this session, I'm going out with my friends as well. So like, I balance out my time. I know what my priorities are. So like, you just have to understand like what kind of schedule do you want to work on. Like, I mean, as a person who's doing my own thing as an entrepreneur, I think I have that flexibility to work on what I want, when I want, right? But I have, like, it's not something that I built, in 1 or 2 days. Like I said, it's something that I've built over time. So you just have to keep doing different things. I'm not saying, initially when I started, like, not that I was able to go out almost every week, then at least once a month. I mean, everyone needs a break, right? You need to meet up with your friends, you need to have some kind of social life, and you have to do other things as well, not just business or studies. If not, you're gonna go nuts, right? So you have to try all those things. And I'm not saying, like, I mean, I'm a big movie and TV show fan, and like, I watch wrestling, play games, and like do all sorts of other stuff as well. But there's a time for everything. So I've just mapped out the times for each of these things. And the secret sauce is I sleep very little. I used to sleep very little back when I was doing my studies, because I mean, at that time I didn't find the importance of sleep, to be really honest with you. That is how it started. But now after graduating, I really understand the value of sleep, and I try my best to get at least 8 hours now. But back in the day, that is how I was able to do all of those things. Because like, let's say I had an assignment due in the night, but there was an event, an important event happening at the same time, right? I used to do the like assignment as well as watch the event. Like if you know what I mean, I can, like, you know, I don't know, I built up that multitasking skill. I think you can, I think my friends and my fiance would be able to really elaborate on that, to what extent I work on, like sometimes I work on like 3 or 4 things at the same time. But I know I can focus on it, like you know, like with the limited, like this is the thing, I can tell that, you know, I'm just one person, I have a limited amount of time, and I can come up with various excuses and just, you know, be happy with one thing and just do that right and just be happy. That might work for some people, but it doesn't work for me. I've tried it, I'm not happy, I cannot be happy or satisfied with that. So I want to try more things. So that is why I keep trying different things, and eventually end up liking it and continuously keep doing it. Like for an example, like the whole lecturing thing, that wasn't even in the plans. Like I had no plans for lecturing at all, right? So I was just so passionate about continuing with my business and all of the other work that I have going on. So I was just focused on that. But then when the opportunity came to me, I like, when opportunity comes to me, I usually never say no. I always, like, no matter what it is, I just see if it's something positive, I say yes, let's do it. So because of that, I took it up. And then I slowly grew, like, now I'm loving it. Like I love teaching these guys, and like I love to see when these guys you know, execute these things really well, like, and like to get students to, you know, achieve greatness. Like I saw the level of commitment our lecturers had and the impact they had on us. So I want to continue to build up on that, and to do, like, you know, take it up even another level, like, you know, to, you know, encourage students to take part in conferences and, like, you know, take part in competitions and, like, you know, see the value of it. And I think as a person who has done all of these things, they can really understand the point that the place that I'm coming from, right? So, like, you know, they can say, I'm not just saying these things, I've already done these things. So because of that, they are like, they are already motivated to see that, and because of that, I see a lot of people, you know, focusing on those things. So like, I think you shouldn't, like, you know, think that you are just limited or you can't. You should always be, even if you can't, you should think that you can and just try it. You give it a go. What's the worst thing that could happen? You will fail. And but it's not the end of the world, right? People fail all the time. So you can just try it and see. If it works, then no one would be laughing at you, no? So like that's the whole point that I had with making videos as well initially. When people were laughing at me, if I just thought, okay, these guys are laughing at me, why should I continue? I should be. Right now, like, most of those guys who are laughing at me, they are doing 9 to 5 jobs, whereas I am living my life the way I want, talking about stuff that I want, like, you know, basically whatever I want to do, and living the life the way I want. And, like, you know, I have my own schedule, I have my own team, and the best part is, you know, I get to give someone else a job, right? And to, like, you know, send the salary to them, and at the end of the day, to see the smiles on their faces. That is also something good, and to, you know, have you know, all sorts of other opportunities coming in. So it's nice. So you have to try that and see how it's going to go.
Absolutely. I think that's another good point you raised, Vani, just taking failure, because I think this day and age, a lot of people do certain things to impress others, not to really achieve anything much. Trick question, what's been the hardest for you, doing a degree at IIT or planning a wedding during COVID?
I think right now, to be really honest with you, planning the wedding is like the most hectic thing. Oh my God, I don't even want to start talking about it. It's like crazy with this situation.
Absolutely. So the moral of the story is, to whoever on the call right now, stick to your IIT degree. Don't worry about like a wedding. Yeah. You can figure it out. I'll post COVID, right? Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think we got one more question. Enosh, hello, Enosh, has asked, who's your role model for being a YouTube personality?
Role model. Now there are a lot of YouTube personalities right now. Being an original reviewer, like from back in the day, from the times that I started. I mean, like a name that comes to my mind is John Folakers, John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. Not a lot of people will know him nowadays. I think yeah, he's in the scene, but he has other commitments as well. And also there have been so many other guys on YouTube, like even guys like Casey Neistat, MKBHD, and like if you take someone from somewhere close to Sri Lanka, okay, let's say C4E Tech, Geeky Ranjit. So there are different kinds of guys in different domains. So like and guys like Peter McKinnon, like who does wonderful works with videography and all of that. So it's like I personally didn't have just one role model. I had like multiple people, and what I wanted to do was, at that time, I saw a gap in Sri Lanka. I saw that there was no one else doing this right now in Sri Lanka, whether it was English or Sinhala, no one else was doing it, full stop, right? So I wanted to fill that gap, and I thought with the experience that I had, because now for all of this to start, like I was always techie, right? Like from the time that I was small, I was really techie. So like I like, from when you take a phone, like I can just look at someone's phone and tell what phone model, like without even knowing what, like from the back of the phone or from the front, sometimes I can just look at it and tell like what phone it is. So like, to say that, like, when you take a price point now, with all the experience that I have so many people messaging me and asking, like what phone to buy, what thing to buy, or like what should I buy this now, or should I wait 6 months, or like stuff like that. I have had people going to shops and just calling me just to double check whether their decision is right. So like, there are people like that, and I'm happy to help them at any time, because that is what makes me happy, and that is what keeps me going. So like, for me to have those role models initially, that really helped me to, get started with this, right? This whole thing. And like, even with people laughing at me or people not understanding what value this whole thing brought, now for me to like, now for me to have this whole thing, now even, now, okay, I'll tell it you like this, like for an example, during the, what do you call, COVID break, only the, like I said, I got some extra client work. So because of that, I couldn't focus on my YouTube channel much, right? For 2 to 3 months, I think I couldn't upload a single video because I was so busy with other projects. So, usually when you don't work on something, you usually don't get a payment, right? But I've built my channel in such a way that all the videos of the past still kept making money for me. So in those 3 months, I still earned the same amount that I usually earn, right? So my revenue didn't drop at all. So that's the value of the business that I have built, in the way, like, even if I just want to take a break, or like, let's say when I go on my honeymoon, I'm still going to keep making money, because that's how I have built my business, right? So like that is something that I can be happy. So now I want you guys, whoever is watching, if someone wants to start, right? You guys can also focus on something that is going to continue. Now, a 9-to-5 job will give you X amount of holidays, but if you get like, like if you want more than that, that's about it, right? But with what I do, with me having my own flexibility, I have that, I have that option of, doing my own thing, my own way, and eventually having it my way as well, even when it comes to the revenue. But that being said, don't put the revenue to the front line, and don't focus on the revenue only, because if you start with the motivation of just getting your revenue, I'm sure you're not going to last a very long time. That's because for me now, whether I get money or not, I'm still going to do it. Whether I get a sponsorship or not, I'm still going to do it, because I am passionate for it. I have enough experiences to share, and I'm gonna still talk about whatever product that comes out, because I'm in love with that particular product, or whatever tech that is. So because of that is the level of commitment and passion that I have. Like I said, if a company doesn't reach out with a product, if I really believe in it, and if the fans really want it, I will go out and get it for them, right? So no excuses. You have to own up and do it yourself, right? So that's the advice I can give. Like you should have role models, and you should follow other guys, and get started. But rather than just looking at role models and being satisfied. Okay, this guy got this thing today, that guy got the other thing today, and just like, without just, just looking at it and being happy. Why don't you start something on your own, right? And you can always reach out to people like me. There are enough and more other guys who are really successful, so you can reach out and see how you can start somewhere. Start with nothing, and you slowly get started, right? Step by step, take little steps and make that big step, and one day your time will come. That is my vision. That is what I have in my head, right? One day my time will come. So until then, I'm going to continuously keep working.
Absolutely. And good on you, Banu, for that. And really my takeaway from that is I think you can draw inspiration from multiple people, but it's about how you create your own unique identity.
Yes.
And I think if you are really passionate about and you really care about what you do, regardless of time constraints or social constraints, or what, you will make everything work, right?
Exactly.
Which is what I actually taken away from this. And I cannot believe this, but we're 57 minutes and counting and in. I cannot believe like an hour went by with like the rain and everything else. So, I mean, time went by, Van. I mean, I guess that's how engaged I was talking to you. I personally learned a lot as an educator, a former student of IIT. I'm hoping everyone who's joined us today did the same as well. I don't see any other questions or anything like that along the way. But any closing remarks you want to share with us, Vana, for any new undergraduates who are trying to figure out a career path? What can IIT offer for them?
Yeah, so for the guys at IIT, I mean, like I meet, if there's anyone from IIT, I meet those guys constantly. But for anyone else who wants to, like start a career like out of IT, like, you can, like I said before, like you can just watch enough amount of tutorials, but if you don't execute it, nothing's going to happen. If you don't build that program is not going to code by itself, right? You have to code it, or that. Now talking about competitions or research research conferences, like no one else is going to put that application for you, right? You have to put that. You have to take that step. So you have to make that commitment if you want to be successful in life. And I'm 100% sure if you guys truly believe in what you want to do, you're going to achieve that. So best of luck to all of you guys, and at any point if you guys want any help or advice, you can always reach out to me on social media. I'm at Andro as well as at Banu Athuraliya. All the links I'm sure might be available, so you can search for it or if not, if you can't, just go and search for Andro on Google, and you can find all the details. Yeah.
Fantastic. That was an excellent fireside chat, Banu. I really enjoyed my time talking to you and learning so much from your experiences as well. And for anyone who's joined us, make sure you follow Banu on his YouTube channel and social media sites, which we'll, put up a post with all the links for. And we wish you all the very best with your undergraduate studies. Do follow ReadMe, IIT, and the Sustainable Education Foundation. Formidable partnerships showing all the young ones in Sri Lanka the way I'd like to think. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, Banu, and do enjoy your time off with your friends right after this. I have to head out too. So.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, and best of luck with the series.
Absolutely. We'll stay in touch. Have a good one, Banu. See you.
Yeah, you too. Okay, bye.
Bye.